let's go to the guitars. Okay, so I'm gonna go one at a time. The guitars are set up a little strangely. You could see how I have some cut out and then put onto different tracks. So basically, I have the pair of my lefts, right? Or I'm sorry, this is a pair left and right, and then another pair underneath it is left and right. And then I have a pair of just the rights. And these are a little lower than, I think, by 3 dB. I believe. Yeah, they're 3 dBs lower than the pair of right guitars. Like I said before, the guitars are quadded. The reason why is because Pete comes in with the octaves, and what I'm trying to stay away from is an overproduced sound, you know? So I'm already working with 4 rhythm guitars, and I doubled the octaves because the octaves have to compete with the quads of rhythms. And I don't want to just stereo everything because it's corny, dude. Like, I want it to sound like you're listening to the band live. So I got Pete here, and I got Bill over here with his guitars, right? But since Bill's the rhythm, he's taking up the whole thing. So when Pete comes in with his octaves, it's going to be on the right side. So what I want to do in certain places, like the chorus, I don't necessarily want to remove a pair of guitars from the right side and replace it with the octave because it's so heavy. So what I do is, instead of doing automation, that's basically what this is. Instead of automation, I'll just put the pair of the right guitars whenever it happens, and I'll have them 3 dB lower, and then you can see when the octaves come in, the octaves will take the precedence on the right side, but the rhythm will still be there. So you're still getting the fullness of the rhythm guitars, but you're perceiving the octaves more on the right. It's just easier for me rather than automate that, you know? And I'm not going to put the octaves, octave, because that shit's corny. This isn't, this isn't pop production. You're watching a fucking punk rock band, and you see one guitarist and you hear him on that side. So that's the plan. What I'm going to do is put Slate Dude on it. Fucking Slate Dude. With his Neve setting, which I rather like. And then get a sound. All right, bruh. So let's do this. Guitars. Let's pick the part where I think this is the breakdown part here. Was it loud? I just want to hear one of them. Man, I can't tell which one I like better. Oh, I hate when this happens. It's definitely the API or the Neve. Go with the Neve. Alright. So let's bring the volume down a bit. Alright, so I'm looking at my VU meter here to make sure that they're even, but I'll bring it up on the screen so you can see what I'm looking at here. And my VU meter here is calibrated so that it's pretty much identical to my analog one over here, so make sure you can see it on the screen. Habanero baby. Okay. And they sound like a Mesa. Alright, I'm going to bring this over. I have on guitars on I'm demoing this Varimu compressor that I really like. So it's I think I'm probably gonna get it, but I'm doing this thing. I usually keep an 1176 on my guitar bus, but I wanted to try this out. So on all the guitars except the solo, you have a fast release, a medium slow attack, which I may slow down. I'm trying to get like a percussiveness out of the pick noise, to make it sound like he's digging into the strings, and that's pretty much it. I'm also saturating a bit by putting the input in up pretty high, and the output's down here. So I'm also unlinking the two channels so that they compress independently of one another. And that's that. So that's going to be on. I throw that on in the beginning. Let's go back to getting this sound here. Alright, so the next thing would be to do some EQing. So let's dress this thing up. The EQ that I really like using on guitars for a super long time, and I always talk about this in my classes, is the Helio 69. So what I'm going to do is add some chunkiness, add some definition and some brightness, and then I'm gonna have to put another EQ on after it. That fucking plugin is so good. Let's put a Navy EQ, if I can find one. Let's use the whoops, wrong thing. 1073. Let's use the Legacy because I don't need the crazy one. And let's just cut a little bit of subs out. And then Alright, man, it sounded really good. I'm really excited about this song, guys. I love this song. I believe that I always talked about experimenting with plugins, and the Helios 69 on guitars is I love that fucking thing because it just does something. For example, if I were to use a SSL EQ on the guitars and I boosted at 80 hertz, right? I had a shelf at 80 hertz or 60 hertz. It's gonna sound different, and then if I'm boosting 60 hertz on the Helios, and even though I'm boosting the same frequencies, it sounds different. So what I want to use is what will harmonically complement whatever I'm trying to process the best. So with guitars, I feel that the Helios will let me boost subs in the guitars, because no one thinks about boosting subs on a guitar. Usually cut subs on a guitar. But the only way you're going to see if that works for you is by experimenting yourself. With the Helios 69 on those guitars, I used to use it on the Helios on vocals because I would do the same thing. I would boost the low end because it doesn't sound as sludgy as if I boosted the low end on, let's say, a Neve. Not to say that the Neve sounds sludgy. The Neve sound great, but I don't think anything in terms of plugins does this like thing to the low end that the Helios does. And I liked it. It gave my vocals body. I have since then changed my vocal processing chain and thought to myself, well, you know what? I know that Helios does a good thing on the low end of vocals, which is a delicate thing. For guitars, usually you want your guitars to be thick, but you don't want them to be sludgy, and that's what the Helios does. So that's how I come to that conclusion.